Mike, we are at the beginning of what I am calling Bruno Week on 50 for
Bruno
50.
week. But aren't we
Bruno
supposed to
Mars.
not talk about Bruno?
That you know what that song reminds me of? The pandemic.
Oh God.
Being stuck in our houses.
Ay, ay, ay.
You know what it
Forget I
also
said anything.
you know what it also reminds me of? Because everyone was stuck in their houses and because they're just trying to be creative, lots of famous people would just do these Instagram reels and just with that line, "We don't talk about Bruno." And the
Mm.
one that I remember the most is Hilary Duff. By the way, she's I'll use my guy. This is copyright Van Lathan. She's in the White Girl Hall of Fame. Hilary
Hillary
Duff
Duff?
is so attractive. But so she did that, that Instagram reel as well for We Don't Talk About Bruno. And I just saw that she's got a new album out. Like
She has a new
Hilary
album
Duff.
out. Yeah, Hillary
Yeah.
Duff is back, y'all.
Shout out to Hilary Duff, man. She was in a TV show. Gosh, I forget the channel that it was on, but it was actually a pretty interesting show where the protagonist is an older mom and her age works against her, so she dresses and plays young to get back into the book industry, the book industry, like physical books, right? But
Mm.
and Hilary Duff was like the marketing person at this company, so that's actually a pretty
Really?
good show.
I mean,
Um,
I missed Hillary Duff entirely. So but there's a like apparently younger millennial women, like she's like God Almighty. We were at work and like so yesterday or one of those songs came on, and I look over and there's like a trio of 26-year-old girls singing along and like dancing. And I'm like, oh, that's what the nostalgia feels are for you.
yeah, and the hard part of putting her in the White Girl Hall of Fame is I also remember what she looked like when she was a little kid, so I
Right.
have to,
Yeah.
like, I
Little
have to
awkward.
envision the adult version of her.
Well, it's it's like talking about Janet. Like you remember Penny, even if
See,
you remember the titty on the Super Bowl.
but we grew up with Janet, though. When we
Fair.
were
Right.
teenagers, she was an adult, so
Yes, this
that's
is true.
that's kinda what this guy
Very
okay,
true.
now this isn't about Hilary Duff, though,
Just
shout out to Hillary. This is Bruno week,
yes.
um, and we're gonna talk about The Romantic, the new Bruno Mars album, and we did a YouTube short and Instagram reel when that first teaser single came out, which
Hmm.
is not the best song on the album, thankfully.
No, it
There are
is
better
not.
songs on the album. And I was actually kind of interested in what you thought about the growth because one thing that we've talked about over the years is how artists who seem to age the best, they kind of grow with their audience instead of chasing the hits. Like some of Usher's best stuff is when you're like, okay, this is what a 25-year-old man or a 30-year-old man should be singing about. And
Right.
then all of a sudden he does an album and it's like, why are you like chasing pop radio for? Like you're a
Yeah.
grown ass man.
Yeah.
But I get it because you got to sell, you got to create some interest, you got to get on the radio, or you used to have to get on the radio.
Right.
So, what do you think about the growth of Bruno here as an artist with this wrote? It's a love songs album essentially.
Yeah. I mean, Bruno is very much in his lane, and like the song with Rose was different for him, and he didn't go in that route for this one. This is very much like a continuation of 24K Magic or the Silk Sonic album, where
That's
it's
the
very
that's
like,
the one where I thought was a little bit more closely to is the Silk Sonic album.
yeah, where it's like very 70s and 80s R&B inspired love songs, um, real instruments. Yeah, like it's enjoyable. It's definitely not groundbreaking. It is pretty much exactly what you thought a Bruno Mars record was going to sound like.
Which is I think it's why I like it. Now, he could have been super inventive and gone in a different
Right.
direction, right? And maybe that's what he'll do the next time. Because I think if people who have listened to this are criticizing a little bit. It's just that, okay, there's no real evolution of the
And
dude.
you don't have to evolve if you know what your pocket is and you stay in that pocket.
I completely agree. But again, going back to this, like, is this what a adult, you know, leaning into middle age Bruno Mars is supposed to sound like?
I mean, yes. Lyrics could probably be a little bit more mature, but also Bruno Mars isn't the average 40-year-old guy. He's Bruno Mars.
Yeah.
And Bruno Mars is probably doing a lot more young shit than we were doing at 40.
I don't know, man. I was divorced and getting back out there. I might have been doing a little bit too much young. I actually wasn't doing a lot. Maybe when I was in like my early 30s. Um, so the first single, I think this is technically the first single, which is Risk It All, has like some like mariachi style to it. When I first heard it, I was like, oh, like this, he's trying to recreate like Ribbon in the Sky with like some, some influence, some Latin influence or something. But I think it's a really strong song. The video is cute as hell.
Hmm.
I was like, "Oh, this is what, like, if Selena was still alive, like, this is like Bruno Mars, and Selena on the same song. This could have been
Right.
something like that."
Yeah,
Like,
she'd be
that's what I
hopping on a
really like
remix.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
completely.
It's really funny. When I listened to this album, the name that I came away with was Lionel Richie.
Okay. Well, which
Like,
is the thing that we talked about in
yeah,
the line, like, actually, you will hear that in the Bruno episode, which comes out, the 50 for 50 episode that comes out, because I think I flat out asked you if, if the comparison is Lionel Richie.
yeah. I think the comparison at this point is Lionel Richie. It's like Bruno knows how to write a song. Like in the very classic, like write a strong song from top to bottom, have it be catchy and hooky and memorable. Like Bruno has that locked, probably better than anybody else does at the moment.
Yeah.
Um, so if that's the case, does he have to be inventive? Not really, because all of these songs are made to like be on the radio forever. And they probably will be on the radio forever.
Yeah, I think Risk It All is, it's probably going to make its waves, through the streams, the charts, or whatever. Like, it's just a very smart lead on, and it's safe, right? It's not like,
Yeah.
it's a pretty safe song, but when I was talking to folks, that was the one that they were like, "That's the one." I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I hear it."
that's definitely my favorite song on the album. It's gonna end up being a wedding song.
Mhm. For sure. So, is there any, what are some of the other, so Cha 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 is also very similar to Risk It
Yeah.
All. You know what, so, now again, this is some research I did. Did you hear Juvenile's slow motion in this song?
No?
This is what my research says. Cha 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 interpolates Juvenile's 2003 hit Slow Motion over a Cuban mambo inspired groove. I have to
He
go back.
probably says one line from the song. That's not an interpolation.
Of all the
Um,
songs to be inspired by,
hey,
Juvenile's Slow Motion.
at least it's not back that ass up.
That would have been better, I think.
Mm.
Uh, um, just like, the one thing that's so different about albums when they drop today versus when you and I were like talking about music a lot and writing music reviews is, you know, album drop, we would listen to it on our computer, we would listen to it, for me, it would be driving on my commute up to work.
Mhm.
You'd have it with you on your Discman while you're, commuting. And today, I don't know that I necessarily listen to music in that same way where I'm like, I need to get some sort of opinion on this thing. Like, I need to like have my very well thought out thesis statement on this album. Like, we used to do that.
We used to do that, and I love that I don't have to listen to music like that anymore. Um, because it feels like now the rest of the world is hot take world,
Mhm.
and I don't think music I don't think the best music is made for hot takes. I think the best music is stuff that you got to sit with, um, and explore the lyrics. Like, do what we were talking about earlier, like sit in a room alone with the album and
Mhm.
actually like let it sink in. Um, I think that back in the day when we were doing this, we were doing it because we got paid to do it. And
A
I
little
think a
bit,
lot of the
a little
folks,
bit.
yeah, a little bit. And I think a lot of folks now that do it because they get, because of the clicks or the money.
But I will zag a little bit because I'm actually interested
Okay.
in your thoughts on this. Okay, how we used to do it, we would get multiple listens in doing it that way.
True.
How n s after this conversation, how many times are you going back to this Bruno album? Just for fun?
I'll skip around it a couple of times probably. I actually just got the CD in the mail, so
Okay. Yeah, I was
I'll
thinking
probably
about getting
pop
the
the
record.
CD in and play it. Like there were a couple of songs I like. There's the "Why You Want to Fight" song. I think that's what it's called. I like that song. I really, really like "Risk It All." I think "Something Serious" is the one that has kind of like a Santana vibe to it, or something like
Mhm.
that. So you know, I'll give it another listen. And the reality is Bruno's albums are all very short. I think
Yeah.
they're all like 9 or 10 songs. Even the Silk Sonic album, I think, is 10 songs.
Yep.
So it'll be a quick listen. And again, like the songs are catchy. It just, I don't know. I don't even know what I was expecting. But I had somewhere I had it in me that it was going to sound different, but it just sounds like a Bruno Mars album.
There is an eventizing of albums. Now, I feel like during the era of where we would have to physically go to stores and buy CDs, it almost felt bigger because we had to go do something to get it instead of just turn on our
Yeah.
computer.
Yeah.
And I think for me, there's less artists with new music that come out to where I'm like, "Oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to listen to this." Bruno Mars is one of the few who will get
Yeah.
me to the computer to listen to something. If Jay-Z drops a new album, I will probably feel similar. We're kind of talking about this. He put Dead Presidents on streaming, which means that probably Reasonable Doubt is coming to streaming at some point. Because what is this, the 30th anniversary
30th. Yeah.
of Reasonable Doubt? And then, of course, whenever Jay does something out of the ordinary, people just think, "Oh, he's got some new album coming out." We haven't heard anything since, what, 444?
444. Yeah.
Which was great for a 50-year-old Jay-Z or however he was when he recorded that. Um, so we'll see about that, but that, like, to get me to go, "Okay, let me put a pause on kind of what I do every day and then go out of my way to listen to it." I did that for this album, and I liked that feeling, right? Like,
Right.
what
I
other
missed it.
artists yeah, what artists like, if John Mayer comes out with a new album, I do the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you don't do that same thing anymore just because the way that people consume music is different. But also, a lot of the artists we used to do that for are either retired or dead.
That's sad to me.
Yeah.
There's no like, now some of this is we're not just gonna give randos, new folks a chance because,
Right.
my stepson was like, "Do you like this song?" I listened to it and I was like, "My man didn't rap a word outside of 1.5 syllables, so the answer is no." My man,
Do you not want to say what it was?
I honestly can't remember what it
Don't
was.
remember?
Yeah, but he likes the vibe of it and the way it makes him bob his head, and I'm like, if I played Scrabble against this dude, I'm whipping his ass because every word is a three-letter word. Like, what's
Yeah.
what's so good about this? But it's just the differences in what we grew up on, where the genre, and I'm specifically talking about hip hop, where the genre is now with the new artists, and what really resonates with the youth. Like, I'm sure if there was a new Rakim who came out, it would be excellent in a specific way to where it would create awareness. But outside of like some fantastic thing like that, I'm not sure how I would even know that it came out. Like, who would tell me that there's this new hip hop album that came out from an artist that I've never heard before, and I need to listen to it because it is like the next thing?
Right. I mean, I have friends that try to keep me plugged into stuff. But the reality at this point with hip hop specifically is that like if you're under 35, you're probably not saying anything that I'm remotely interested in. So I'm not holding out a ton of hope that there's going to be like a young Rakim like person who is going to make me change my mind about this generation of hip hop. But it would be great if there was. And I feel pretty confident that if there was, I have enough people, in the streets, as it were, that would be like, Mike, you should check this out. This guy or girl is dope.
Yeah, I'm even trying to figure out who would have been like I guess Doechii. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I think Dochi's fine. I'm not like super nuts about Dochi, but I think she's good.
but yeah, I'm even trying to think of who is out there who I would think who is rapping today, who doesn't have a catalog that I grew up on, who I'd
Right.
even be interested in listening to.
I mean, for me, I didn't grow up on Kendrick. Obviously, he's significantly younger than we are. Oh, not that much younger
Not
than we
that
are.
much younger.
He's 9 years younger than we are, so he's not that much younger than we are.
Yeah, my man,
Um,
we're doing 50 for 50, and Kendrick is about to do 41 for 41, man.
41, right? Yeah. So I mean, K Dot, Rhapsody. Um,
Rhapsody would be one where I remember my buddy saying, "You need to check this out. I think you would
yeah,
like it."
yeah, Rhapsody is dope. Um, but yeah, I mean, if unless and again, Kendrick's 41, Rhapsody I think is in her late 30s. Like, these are still kind of like more mature people.
You know what else sucks though? There are people who we grew up listening to who have kind of turned me off in a different way. Like
Sure.
I was never a big Ice Cube fan, but when my man starts plus oneing on Donald Trump stuff, I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, I'm
Yeah.
out
I
on
mean,
you
I'm I'm
completely.
I'm I'm off team Ice Cube
I mean, I
for
did
sure.
just watch Boys in the Hood, and I'd seen bits and pieces of Boys in the Hood, but I'd never seen it all the way through.
Mm,
And like he's like a budding, like you can see why he became a movie star from Boys in the
right.
Hood.
It's got
Um,
Riz.
but yeah, like when I see like him or Snoop, kind of all the things that at least they said that they stood for when we were growing up that meant
Right.
something to us. And then they got rich and now it's completely
Yep.
different about what
Yeah.
they stand up for. It's like such a turnoff and it's kind of frustrating. But it's not like I was their biggest fan
Then
anyway.
right.
If like Q-Tip all of a sudden was wearing a MAGA hat, it'd probably break my heart.
He better
So
not. He
so
better not
I don't
ever.
think, and I think we chose him correctly and wisely.
Yeah.
But yeah, like these other guys like Dr. Dre and like, oh
Well,
well,
it's all
like
people who like they got their money and they don't give two shits about anybody else.
yeah, yeah.
Like, and also not to jump on a soapbox, but so much of that hip hop in that period was just like exploitative. It wasn't really like, yeah, they're telling you about what's happening in the hood and what's happening in the street, but it's not like, hey, what do we do about this? It's, oh, like they're, you know, almost like again, like it's exploitative. It's not guaranteed, it's not geared to like help anything or really even to spread awareness. It's just to be like, to sort of spread it around and roll around in it for your own financial gain.
Mhm. All
So
right, let's move on. So
yeah,
I'd give Bruno, I'd definitely give it a thumbs up because it got me to listen to it like 3 or 4
it's
different times.
it's got like a thumbs up a little bit. I need to give it a couple more listens.
You know what that reminded me of? What you just did right now?
What?
The Weird Al Fat video, "I'm Fat,"
Oh God.
where
What happened?
He's asking Michael to if he can make do the track, and
Uh-huh.
there's, like, the fake Michael with the glove, and he just does the thumbs up and thumbs down.
Oh God.
Those Weird Al videos were always on
They
MTV back
were.
in the day.
They were. They were.
All right, let's talk quickly about the 2026 nominees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes.
I will read them out, and like about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame way more than I do. So you tell me. I don't know how many people make it. I don't know if there is a maximum or a minimum or
There is.
whatever. But I will give the list, and then you can give me your feedback on the list. Okay.
Okay.
The Black Crowes, Jeff Buckley, Mariah Carey, Phil Collins, Melissa Etheridge, Lauryn Hill, Billy Idol, In Excess, Iron Maiden, Joy Division / New Order, New Edition, Oasis, Pink, Sade, Shakira, Luther, and the Wu-Tang Clan.
It's a really interesting list. It's a really diverse list, which I think is what they were going for. The two names that I was surprised to see on that list were Lauryn Hill and Pink.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, obviously we've talked about Lauren quite a bit. I'm not sure how Lauren gets in essentially off of one album.
I had this conversation, and I'm actually interested in your feedback here. So, my oldest, he was asking me about Badu and Jill Scott.
Hmm.
And he was like, I listened to their catalogs and I was going back to the records. They're like, actually, he's like, I like Jill Scott's music better than Badu's music.
Okay.
And so what I didn't realize is the reason why he went back is because Jill Scott has a brand new album
She has
that
a new
came
album
out,
out.
and
Yeah.
he wanted to kind of catch up on Jill Scott. And so his favorite music style right now is kind of this like new neo soul style of R&B. Like he listens to all of those artists. Like if I asked him, what do you think about somebody in that genre? He would know because he listens to all folks in that genre.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, who would you compare? Who is out there that would be comparable to those artists? So he was telling me about some of the new artists that are out. And I said, is there anybody like Lauren? And he's like, nope, she's a one-on-one. She's a unicorn. There's nobody who could touch her. And so then I kind of posed this to another friend who's a big music fan. And he was like, the reason why I would vote for Lauren is because Billy Idol has so many albums and so many songs, and Lauren has one. And that album is more influential than
Then all the
anything
Billy
that he's
Idol
ever
shit put
done, put
together.
together.
Yeah. Agreed.
And so that is the argument for her, because I went back to him and I said, well, she's got one album. Like, how do you build a Hall of Fame career off of one album? Because the longevity piece of it is missing as a solo. I don't know if it's more arguable that the Fugees go in versus her as a solo. The Fugees only have a couple records themselves.
Yeah, they only
So
have two albums.
so what it like I get that part for Lauren. I guess I just don't like if this was like a baseball Hall of Fame. We have one-hit wonders in sports too. Part of what makes a Hall of Fame career is the longevity. Now, I don't know how much of Lauren's still touring today. I don't know how much of the people who saw her Grammys performance and they're like, "Oh my God, give me more Lauren right now because that was awesome." But what's on paper, what she can put on her resume is the miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
I mean, I get it, or I shouldn't say I get it. It makes sense. Like she made essentially one album, but that one album changed music. So,
What is the
you know,
comp? Is there a comp for
ooh,
someone like her who's already in the Music Hall of Fame?
there probably is, but I can't think of anyone off the top of my head.
How did
There probably is.
like we know this woman has a lot of kids. How does she like how like is the miseducation of Lauryn Hill just essentially how she makes her or is it the touring? Like how does she make her
It's
living in
touring.
2026?
It's touring. And I'm sure she has like sponsorship deals, or is one of those people who does like the private concerts for like the King of Brunei and gets paid like $2 million for that, something like that. I mean, you know, I'm pretty sure she has her ways. She
So
probably isn't really public about that shit now because she already got dinged for not paying her taxes and don't want to go through
yeah,
that again.
yeah, that was a bad time for her.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other artist you mentioned was Pink.
Think. Yeah, I mean, just because like if you think of everybody who came out during that era, right? So Pink, NSYNC, Backstreet, Britney, Christina, even Usher to an extent. Like, I don't know that Pink is the person that I see going in first.
Her
Uh,
thing is the opposite of what we just said about Lauren, is that she is still making new albums.
she's still
She's
popular.
still doing crazy tours, and her actual live performance is freaking amazing. This woman
Right.
works so hard to prepare for her concerts, the stuff that she does. Like her live performance is awesome. It's one of the better ones. Now, whether you like Pink's music or not, like
Yeah.
I like it. You know, Crystal's it's her favorite
I think,
artist.
yeah.
But at the same time, there's not like one thing that she's done that is comparable to Lauren, but it's the longevity piece of her being around since the late 90s and still making new music that sells as much as
And
you can sell.
changing her style and being versatile and all that other stuff.
There was an article that said that she and her husband were separated, and she jumped on IG Live and she said, "Nope, don't be spreading those rumors. You know, this is untrue." So she's like,
If
she's on top of her game.
I mean, I feel like if I was in a fight in a bar and Pink was next to me, I'd be all right.
Yeah, yeah. She would kick some ass and then she'd get the party started.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But yeah, I mean, look, it's a great list. Um, I would certainly be happier to see other people inducted. I'd be more happy to see certain people on this list inducted than I would to see other people on this list get inducted. I think they choose 4 to 6. So a lot of these people are going to go home unhappy.
So call it.
But
Who's in? Who do you think makes it? Well, we'll talk about who you want to be in a second, but who do you think actually makes it?
who makes it? That is a good question. I think Mariah gets in this year finally.
Okay.
They've been wanting to get Iron Maiden in for a long time, and the rock fans need something to appease them.
Mhm.
So I think Iron Maiden will get in. Um, I actually think New Edition might get in.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think this might be their year. And I think sadly because he is ill, I think Phil Collins will get in this year.
Mm.
And like they did that with Tina, and they did that with a couple of other artists where they like got them in right before they passed away.
What gets Luther in at this point?
I mean, it could happen this year. I think between the documentary and Kendrick and SZA,
Mhm.
like Luther's name
Sh
is like at a very
Cher thought he was
more.
still alive.
They need to wipe some of that formaldehyde off the chair. Uh, but yeah, I mean, if Sam Cooke's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Luther Vandross should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Um, he is, I think the defining male pop singer of Generation X. Um, so I mean, I'm hoping that look, my ideal would be for everybody to get in.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
for sure. Why
you
hold
know,
anybody out? But I
yeah,
mean,
why hold anybody out?
you need future years of this television show, which is what it's become
Right.
now.
Right, and yeah, I mean, I think for TV optics, I think they almost have to push Mariah in this time because she is probably the biggest name in this bunch.
Do they want to deal with her on the TV show though?
I'm sure. I mean, it'll be entertaining.
I mean, I that would get me to watch. If okay,
Yeah.
if Mariah and New Edition get in,
If
not
Mariah and New
only
Edition get in, I will go.
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about it because 'cause you'll have a
Yeah.
crazy experience. How do you
Yeah.
go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Would you be able to get a
Buy
credential or
tickets.
something?
No,
Oh,
just
you
buy
can just buy
tickets.
tickets? Okay.
Although I will say, there are 2 bands on this list that are associated with my day job. So if either one of them gets in, I might be able to somehow finagle a ticket.
Yeah, man. That'd be awesome. Uh, I think, they used to run the show on tape delay on HBO, but now I think
They do it live on it's
ABC,
live
right? Or
on
Disney?
no, I think it's live on Disney Plus,
Yeah.
and then like a shortened version is on Hulu or ABC or whatever the next day.
Yeah, because if, Mariah and New Edition make it, I will try and watch that thing, like,
Yeah, man.
immediately. That'll be awesome, and then, the one artist we didn't talk about because it's outside of Lauren, it's so it seems so hard for hip hop acts to get in,
Right.
kind like the Wu-Tang Clan, like, in a hip hop Hall of Fame, like, they're, like, first ballot Hall of Famers,
Yeah.
but in this kinda Hall of Fame, like, where do they sit, you think?
I'm not sure. I don't think they'll get in this time around. You know, I think Wu-Tang Clan is better regarded for all the stuff that they did individually rather than what they did collectively. Because essentially, after that first album, none of those other albums are really classics.
Sure, and they have
Um,
lots of, now this doesn't affect their group status, but they did have that thing that we had talked about, like New Edition, where they figured out all how to create solo stuff
yeah.
and do it that way. But then they also have kind of that infamous story where they make that one album and they sell it to that whack job dude.
The weird billionaire dude who's in jail.
Yeah, and has that album seen the light of day?
Nah, tied
Probably
up
does.
in legal red tape. It's probably
Probably
not
it's
very
probably
great.
not that good
Yeah.
is what I'm guessing too.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I think Wu-Tang is legendary and deserving. Um, I don't know how history is going to look at like their catalog outside of that first album.
Yep.
But also, they changed the industry in a lot of ways and they brought that new edition, four artists and one artist, in this case, nine artists and one artist. They brought that aesthetic to hip hop and kind of changed the game that way.
And then they tried to bring those B-level members as the affiliates.
Yeah. That didn't really work out.
All right, we are done. So hopefully people enjoy Bruno Week. We
Yeah.
we
Oh,
we
by the way, you can submit ballots if you go to rockhall.com. You can do the fan vote, and I think the fan vote uh
shouldn't count.
it counts if you count them all together. It's like half of an overall vote or something like that. Like it's super, super tiny. Um,
I've seen the results so far. These votes shouldn't count.
well, they basically the people that vote in the fan vote are all of these like middle American white people who are like, none of these bands are rock and roll.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
do they know where rock and roll music came from?
came from. Right, exactly. That's why I made the comparison between like Sam Cooke and Luther Vandross, or Carole King and Mariah Carey, or like the Drifters or the Four Tops of the Temptations to New Edition. Like there's a lineage there. Anyway,
I I know you're not the biggest Elvis fan, but I watched the new Baz Luhrmann Elvis concert movie documentary thing with all the unearthed footage, and there's some footage of Elvis being interviewed by the press, and a lot of it was like, your style of rock and roll and blah blah blah. Like, do you feel guilty for like being negatively influenced? And he's like, if you guys understand where rock and roll came from,
came from.
like it
Yeah,
comes from the blues and rhythm and blues, and this we are a derivative of that. Like, so it's like I haven't created a new sound. Like I am, utilizing all of the templates from this other music. And so,
right.
people who will point to Elvis as like the rock and roll king and everything. It's like he's like, no, this is where it came from.
Came from.
So
No,
that's
I think Elvis, I mean, when you look back and actually do your research, Elvis was actually very good and, woke in a very 1950s kind of way to really shout out the people that he was influenced by and try to give them a platform as well.
yeah, for sure.
Contrary to some people's opinion that Elvis was a racist, which was apparently not the case.
Even
Look, I
even
didn't live
even
with the
our
man.
guy, even our guy Chuck D had to back away
Yeah,
from
Chuck D walked that back. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yes, he did.
all right. Enjoy.
Oh, I never gave my ballot.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh, I voted for Joy Division, Luther Vandross, Mariah Carey, New Edition, Phil Collins, Sade, and the Wu Tang Clan.
Okay, so you could vote. What was that, 8? You could vote up to 8.
7,
Okay,
I think 7. Yeah,
there you go. All right. So Bruno Mars, we cover doo-wops and hooligans, and we cover his whole career, but we focus on that album.
yeah,
So that album will come out after this. That podcast will come out after this. We're changing the schedule. We wanted to give you our thoughts on the romantic first, and then the 50 for 50 on doo-wops and hooligans, and then we'll end the week with our top 5, and then Mike will also bust out his playlists for Bruno Mars, which is a fun one.
Yes, indeed.
All right. That is it from here.
All
For
right.
for Mike, I'm Double G. See you when we see you. Peace
Later.
out.